doesn't feel good to be out, but it's still one of the most important things is to get out in that weather, in that environment, because our mitochondria is basically, it's the powerhouse of the cell, but it's an environmental sensor, and it senses the environment that you're in most of the time. And if you put yourself in an environment that is
Awekenge, this is Mental Metals, hosted by Toto.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Mental Metals. I'm your host, Toto, and before we dive into today's incredible conversation, I have a small favor to ask. If you enjoy what you hear today, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also helps others discover the valuable insights we share every week. And if you find today's episode particularly inspiring or insightful, don't forget to share it with your friends, family, or anyone you think could benefit from it. Thank you for your support. It truly means the world to us. Now, let's get back into our conversation.
I'd like to say thank you so much for being here. And in terms of one thing that I've learned is really important to talk about nutrition. Nutrition is one of those things that actually affect your mental well-being. And one thing that I have a pleasure of having is to speak with different people talking about gut health, talking about nutrition, talking about vitamins and how they are effective, and some of them are very toxic. And something that I didn't know, which is vitamin A. So yeah. And again, thank you so much for being here, and I will welcome you to Mental Mentors. Really appreciate you for being here.
Yes, I appreciate you having me.
What does health mean to you?
What does health mean to me? Well, I consider myself being really sick 2 times in my life. So the first time was mid-2000s, back when I was in my mid-20s. I suffered through depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, just dark days. And then later on in my 30s, mid to late 30s, I started getting hormonal issues. And that started to really get me concerned because, I'm a health professional and I'm not supposed to have hormonal issues or anything like that. But I've fixed myself from both of those. So health to me basically means being able to just wake up, have the energy to go through the day. And there's no energy drag because life is, Einstein said it the best, life is energy, energy is life. If you don't have energy, you're going to look for ways, artificial ways to get it back. And then those artificial ways will eventually lead to hormonal issues like I had, or depression, anxiety, and things that most modern people deal with. So it's all about energy. In a word, energy. That's health.
Quite a fascinating answer. And also speaking about in terms of someone that yourself being in the profession of health. One thing that I saw, as I've said, that it's my first time in terms of actually focusing on health in general, or in terms of, so not health per se, in terms of nutrition. Nutrition is something that actually we don't actually consider that it would have a huge benefit within our mental well-being. And my follow-up question to you in terms of that statement, I'm quite interested, what is in circadian biology? Can you explain that to us?
Yes. So circadian biology, most people have heard it as circadian rhythm. So we are dictated by a 24-hour clock. Everybody knows 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. That is basically our day. And then we have 366 days per year. However, and then obviously the sun rises, sun sets, moon comes out, moon goes away. So that's nature's circadian time. But also inside of our body, we have certain processes, certain biological things going on inside of us that are supposed to happen at certain times of the day. So think of it, you basically got like a bunch of clocks inside of you. So our master clock is known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. That's SCN for short. It's right behind our retina. And then it basically talks to all the other clocks in your body. So it's said that we've got anywhere between 19,000 and 25,000 genes. In front of every gene is a peripheral clock that SCN talks to. So the SCN needs to run faster, because if the SCN gets messed up, then you're not going to be able to tell proper circadian time. So certain things are going to go off haywire. For instance, your blood pressure is supposed to be the highest in the morning. Certain hormones are supposed to turn on at certain times in the morning, and then they're supposed to turn off at certain times. There are certain times you're supposed to poop in the morning. Certain times you're not. Obviously, we're not supposed to wake up in the middle of the night and have to poop. So then there's obviously things that wind us down. There's the best time to work out. There's best times to eat. There's best times not to eat. So that's basically circadian biology in a nutshell. But basically, the SCN is the master controller, and it's very easy with our modern lifestyle and modern stuff to break that down and make it malfunction.
So what made you do the shift from fitness and nutrition to this circadian biology, and how does actually it interlink with mental health?
So like I mentioned from your first question, I got sick with those hormonal issues. I fixed myself with basically nutrition. So I started doing the paleo diet. Then eventually I found like this supplement company. I started doing nutritional cleanses and drinks and stuff like that. And then I found keto, and I thought I was doing, I mean, each time I went to one of these diets, I felt the best that I ever felt. And then I started keto in 2014. 2018 beginning of 2018 is really when I started to feel those hormonal issues. So I had an issue with upside down cortisol and melatonin. And then, that's kind of scared me. I mean, I didn't tell anybody, because I'm a fitness professional. I'm a nutrition coach. I'm supposed to be helping my clients. And if I'm getting sick, I'm not feeling good myself, I need to find some kind of solution out there. So that's when I started looking at different things. I'm like that kind of person who thinks like everything comes to you at the right time. So I know there's that quote, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So my teacher was Dr. Jack Cruz. I originally found him in 2013. I read his book, The Epi-Paleo Prescription. But in 2013, his message was really hard to believe, because I wasn't ready for that. I was feeling the best I've ever felt. I had fitness programs to sell you. I had nutrition programs to sell you. I had supplements to sell you. But then he reappeared in my life. And then that's basically when I started to follow his information. His Nourish Vermont talks from 2016, 2017. I believe those are the number 1 and number 2 best health seminars ever. I had to listen to the 2017 at least 7 or 9 times before I actually did anything. And then when I actually did it, it was basically just, I got more sunlight and I started feeling better. That started helping me. And then I got deeper into it. I started doing things right. Number 1 thing in terms of circadian biology is seeing the sunrise, because that's what sets the circadian rhythm. It's what sets our suprachiasmatic nucleus for the day. I haven't looked back since. It's been a journey, and it's been an interesting journey. I feel like I have had 3 careers since 2007.
And you kept mentioning in terms of being a professional, being a fitness and nutrition in a way, I would say specialist in terms of helping people in terms of their own health. Definitely it had you having these problems had a huge impact on you. It has a huge impact on you. How did you actually manage it in terms of having that, okay, coming down your ego in a way of, okay, how can we pass through this? And mentally, definitely, it punished you. How did you recover from it?
In terms of mental
Yes,
health?
in terms of mental.
Yeah, in terms of mental health, I mean, everything is connected to, like, the three-legged stool of nature is known as light, water, magnetism. So in a way, nutrition, or in a way, like depression, anxiety, mental health issues, it's really a wrong, you're getting the wrong types of light, and you're not getting enough of the right types of light. So when I first went through the mental problems with suicide and anxiety, I didn't really fix my light environment. I just did it through food and through exercise. But you have to remember, food is it's a circadian, we call them Zeitgebers. So it's basically all food is grown through photosynthesis. So photosynthesis happens on a circadian basis. So yeah, so basically when you eat food, you're basically eating sunlight. And I mean, if you eat the wrong types of food at the wrong type of time, that could disrupt your circadian mechanism. We can get into a little bit more of that later. If you're getting like too much artificial blue light from living indoors, or from the lights above, on your phone, on your computer. So I have a program called Iris that I use, which takes out the blue light, takes out all the flicker, all that stuff. So really, it's just you're not getting enough sunlight, and you're getting too much artificial light. And that was one thing that I had to learn, and it was one of the biggest things, because when I did fix myself, I mean, I would get out more to do more workouts outside. Sometimes I would take my class and my clients outside to do their workouts and whatnot. But obviously, when you change your nutrition, I was going from the standard American diet, which is basically just processed food and garbage, pretty much. So you're eating, and a lot of it's grown in the lab. So that's the kind of food you don't want to be eating. You want to be eating food that is actually grown from Earth. And when you eat that, it basically gives you the sunlight, gives you the nutrients that you need. But obviously, we need the actual sun to help us. So usually, like seasonal affective disorder, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but basically it happens usually in the winter when the sun's power goes down and people are spending more time indoors because the weather it's cloudy, it's dreary, it's gray, it's snowy, it's rainy, it's sleety. Yeah, it just doesn't feel good to be out, but it's still one of the most important things is to get out in that weather, in that environment, because our mitochondria is basically, it's the powerhouse of the cell, but it's an environmental sensor, and it senses the environment that you're in most of the time. And if you put yourself in an environment that is artificial most of the time, then you're going to start to break down, and then you're going to have depression and anxiety and just not feeling good about yourself. So,
and it's not my first time hearing in terms of light, whereas it is effective when it comes to your mental health. Because I remember, I'm not quite sure when was it and the name of the guest, where we had a conversation around this in terms of the light and how it is really important that you actually not firstly look at your phone when you wake up and try by any means to receive the light that from outside. And I didn't think that it was that important, because, and as much as I also believe that such information is very rare that you could find. There are so many, as much as there is information out there, you're speaking about very crucial things in terms of the light. And these things, one of the things that I actually want to learn more about, because as someone that advocates about mental health, how can I not talk about such things in terms of the light and also the nutrition, how it affects the food that you are eating, the plants that you are planting in your garden. It's quite a very fascinating thing. And